Welcome to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show. I am your host, Richard Franzi. This is podcast episode number 1051. It's good to be back. For those loyal listeners, you know that last week I was off on a vacation business trip, and I want to thank Peter Brennan, financial editor for the Orange County Business Journal, for guest hosting admirably. I listened to the podcasts and did a fine job sitting in this chair. We're going to turn our attention to Dennis Backer. He's our first guest here on Critical Mass Radio Show. He's with Can Do Digital Solutions. You know, more than 8 out of 10 users look on search engines to find information and products that they may want to buy. If your site doesn't come up on top, kind of page one, you'll be losing traffic and sales to your competitors. I've asked Dennis to come on to the show and share how you, a middle market CEO and business owner, can drive digital content to make your marketing needs happen. Dennis, welcome to the Critical Mass Radio Show and podcast.
Thanks, Richard. Good to be here.
It's great to have you on the show. So let's start with you sharing kind of an interesting story, something that gives us context for who you are as an entrepreneur and business executive.
Yeah, sort of. I grew up in Houston. I was in the video production business for over 30 years. We did corporate videos for large companies, marketing, training, commercials. Moved out to Orange County about 16 years ago and continued in the video world until that '08 recession. When video really went down, companies weren't paying what they needed, what video was worth anymore, because you could make one on your phone practically. So I wanted to get into internet marketing. I wanted to find some products to sell. I developed an e-commerce website. I marketed some products. I bought some ads on Google, and I didn't know heck what I was doing.
Okay.
It was scary, spending money and not getting anywhere. So I hired a couple of SEO, search engine optimization companies.
Sure.
Hired one, paid a lot of money, and I didn't get results. Hired another one. It wasn't until the third that I started seeing some results, and I figured, I need to find out how to do this myself. So I attended some groups, some meetup groups up in the LA area, and I heard a guy speak, and it was amazing. It was like everything you wanted to know about getting your website on page one. And I went to this guy and sort of said, could you please help me? And he said he would.
Okay.
And I went up and I mentored with him, and for free, actually. I bought him lunch a couple times, and when I started applying, it actually worked. So making this longer story shorter, I was giving a talk at our Video Association meeting. I was on a panel discussion, 6 effective ways to optimize your website. So I went through 6 basic things, and after the little talk, a woman from an ad agency in the audience came up to me and asked me if I did this for other people, and I said I do now.
Right.
So,
good entrepreneur.
And so that's how I launched my business. That was in '08.
That's awesome.
'09. So we just moved forward from there.
Okay, so that's like 9 years ago.
Correct.
A lot has happened in internet time over those 9 years.
That's very true.
Right, and you continue to build on your experience at Can Do Digital. So why do clients come to you? What is it that you do for them? And, kind of what's your value-added differentiation?
Right. Well, you mentioned the 8 out of 10 internet users, you go to search engines to really look for their product or service, and 9 out of 10 people don't go past the first page on the search engine. So it's crucial to get that website on the first page. And I always say that someone could be a sole entrepreneur. They could be working on a laptop on the beach and give the impression that they're a huge company, a huge corporation, just with a couple of images and a good website. And so getting to that page one is important, and we do that through a lot of different methods. We really have to evaluate the company, where they're located, who their target market is, how competitive they are.
Right. So I'm going to unpack some of what you said there, because you said a lot. For my audience, I like to go back and kind of start with, why don't people go past page one?
It's just the statistics. We don't like to go, when you do a search on Google, you may see on the top there's 2 million results. Well, there's 10 results per page. That's 200,000 pages.
That's a lot.
Forget about it.
Right.
5-10% go to page 2 or further. The only reasons people go past page 1 is really when they're looking, researching something, and they're looking for information. But being on page 1 gives a business credibility, because users don't understand what it takes to get on page 1, and they figure, hey, these guys are on page 1. They must be up there. They must be the best.
Right.
So that's why it's important, and most users don't go past that.
So we're going to continue to unwind the conversation here a little bit on this point, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
Is it different getting on page 1 than staying on page 1?
It is.
And if so, how?
Well, the different things we have to do to get a website on page one is really find out the search terms that people are searching for. Google has tools, and we have other software that lets us find that out. And then different ways to implement that. They have to be implemented in content on the website and in the code of the website. And that's what Google looks for. To stay on page one, you have to have an active website. You just can't be static. That means actively posting content, having blogs, having social media links on your website to your social media platforms, having good listings in local directories. So there's over 200 algorithms that Google uses to rank a website. And we know a lot of them, and then there's some we don't know.
Okay.
We can figure out, but so it's an ongoing process. You just don't get there and stay there.
Okay. And what type of clients do you work with?
So we have a wide range of clients. We work with a large restaurant chain. We work with a plumbers referral network in LA, Orange County, and the Inland Empire. We have a herbal supplement company. We have an acupuncture college and clinic. Nonprofits. We're doing a lot of work with nonprofits now. So there's a whole range, and it's fun because we get to learn about a lot of different businesses.
Right, because you have to, right?
We have to
be able
right.
to. Do you find that when you talk to I call them middle market companies, kind of $100 million and smaller companies, and that can be a wide range of companies with varying numbers of employees, that they either, one, have experience with trying to get rankings and have been successful, or they don't have experience in trying to get rankings, and so they don't know what they don't know about the process?
It's sort of split.
Okay.
Some companies do have experience. Usually, it's either worked or hasn't worked, and so the ones that come to us are the ones where it hasn't worked, where they've had a company that hasn't, maybe done what's really up and up the way that Google recognizes things. There's techniques that are sort of called black hat that are under the table, which a company eventually will get penalized and fined, fined for that. Not fined monetarily, but punished and taken off the first page.
Right.
So that happens, and so we've had a number of clients that have come to us when that's happened.
So we're talking to CEOs of lower middle market companies, and there's a paid component of this, pay per click, and there's an organic search part of this. Can you kind of, at the very top of the tree, help them to understand those two choices?
Sure. So when you look at a Google search engine page, usually the top 3 to 4 listings are ad, and it says ad in very small print. And usually now Google has added ads at the bottom of the listings, and in the middle it's 7 to 10 what we call the organic listings. So organic is basically doing the keyword research, putting the content on the site, making the site relevant, making a good experience for the user, and then Google will rank you organically. Paid is something that is called pay-per-click, where actually we write ads, we do the same kinds of keyword research, so when people are searching on Google, those ads come up. And it's a bidding process, depending on, again, how competitive the terms are and how big the geographical area is. It can be difficult to get on top. It can cost, for some health insurance and Medicare and some terms like that, it may cost $15 to $20 per click.
Wow.
So the proprietor only pays when someone clicks on the ad. And if you don't have a good website or a good page that the ad goes to, you're not going to get a sale or a lead. So it works on both sides.
Right, because driving them. Okay, so we're talking with Dennis Backer. He is a partner in Can Do Digital Solutions here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast, and we're all things digital marketing, which is critically important for middle market companies. We have a few minutes left in this first block, and we'll move on from there. But what type of financial commitment should a middle market CEO consider needs to be made to be able to not only rank effectively first page, but then once the user clicks that link, because just because they go to your landing page doesn't mean they're going any further. They may click on and click right off, right?
That's correct.
So this is a very holistic kind of system you have to really think about when you're investing money on this digital marketing aspects of your business.
Right, you do, and landing pages are really important. There's so many people that go to just the homepage of the website when they click, and some homepages are terrible. You really can't find what you need or what you want, so it's really good to create a specific landing page. And financial commitment really depends on those three main areas. You know, the geographical area, the competitiveness of the business, and who they're targeting. So it could be, you know, hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. I know that's a big
Per
range,
month.
but per month,
Right.
Right.
Depending on.
depending on all those
Right.
those elements.
And this works equally well in B2B as B2C in your
Yes.
experience?
Yes,
Okay.
we work with a lot of clients that are selling products online, B2C.
How much of a relationship is there in your mind between the keywords that a company is investing in and the nature of the landing page on which they're going to bring that person?
Well, Google gives what's called a quality score, and it's
Okay.
based exactly on what you're saying.
Okay.
The keywords have to be present and relevant on the landing page in content that is giving. It's all about the user experience to Google now. In old times, you know, 10 years ago, you could just place a bunch of keywords on a page and you'd rank. Now there's terms that mean the same terms as keywords. There's contextual searches. So Google looks at the meaning of the content, not just the words, to make sure that it's giving the user a good experience. So it's very important.
So, is it fair to say then, Dennis, that driving everyone to your homepage through all your keyword strategy may not be the most effective strategy?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
not.
Okay. So you really need to think like the person who's surfing for a product or service and help them to find it if you offer it.
Right. You want to make it easy for
Okay.
them, and usually no more than 1 or 2 clicks to get to the buy.
Get to the buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or engage your company.
Exactly.
Okay. A call to action.
A call to action, a good phone number, a contact form that's very prevalent on the site. Numerous contact forms on different pages. You want to make it as easy as possible.
Right. Okay. Because you don't want to frustrate them.
Exactly.
It'd be like them coming into
Yeah.
your store if you had a storefront and putting up obstacles to get to the merchandise that they were interested in, right?
Right. I mean, I've had clients come to me and I can't find their phone number on the website without going way down to the bottom of the site, and it's like no one's going to find you. No one's going to call you.
Right. So we're going to take our first and only break here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. So we're going to come back and continue this conversation. But before we leave them, would you say to our audience that regardless of your industry and relatively regardless of your size, having some element of a digital marketing strategy is very important to the success of your business?
It's extremely important. People are looking for your website now. They're checking you out. They want to make sure you have that presence.
Okay.
And social media also.
Okay.
So it's very important to have an online
You're
presence.
bringing social media into it too, aren't you, Dennis?
We
All
are.
right. It just never ends with you people, does it?
It doesn't.
All right. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to come back with Dennis Backer. He is a partner in Can Do Digital Solutions and continue this conversation after the break. And this break, for those loyal listeners, know it's like 30 seconds. It's just one little thing about something that we do here at Critical Mass for Business. So we'll be back after this word from me.
Richard Francis.
Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Richard Franzi. All of our shows can be heard anytime on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, several hundred former guest websites whose CEOs have been on our show. And since 2009, when we first launched this podcast radio show, We've reached hundreds of thousands of listeners through our live stream here on octalkradio.net, our video on Facebook Live off the octalkradio.net page, which also then gets turned into a YouTube video for the Richard Franzi YouTube channel, as well as those podcasting platforms I talked about. If you'd like to become a regular listener to our program or subscribe to our podcast, simply go into your favorite podcasting software, type in these 4 words, Critical Mass Radio Show, and you will automatically start receiving the weekly interviews we do with great guests like Dennis Backer. He is a partner in Can Do Digital Solutions. In the first segment, we had a ranging conversation about the importance and kind of the ideas behind digital marketing. We're going to talk more about that for you business owners. But before we do that, I wonder if you could, Dennis, share your core philosophy that you're using and have used in the past to kind of lead and grow your firm.
Sure, Richard. I don't want it to sound sort of like a cliche that we give personal attention to our customers and clients. Everyone sort of says that, but I want our clients to know that they're really interfacing with the owners of the business. They're not just dealing with an accounts rep or a technical person, which they can do that also, but the owners are very much involved. We think that every client is the most important client, as our clients would like us to think, because
Right.
each client thinks they're the most important client. So we treat them that way.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So can we get back to customized digital marketing
We
solutions
can.
now? All right. So when you engage with a new client, you gave a range of different kind of customers and nonprofits that you work with. I mean, how do you determine what's the right solution for them beyond the budget that they tell you they have to spend?
Well, we do a complete analysis of their current marketing situation, their website to see how optimized it is, where it ranks in the search engines. We look at other sites that refer to their sites. We call those links because the more sites that refer to your site, the better Google likes it, as long as they're legitimate sites and they're relevant. So our analysis really shows where we have to go with them. What are they doing on social media now? How many likes? How many mentions? How much activity there is? Because as I mentioned before, that is a ranking factor for Google, and it's also important for branding their business and or selling their products and service. So looking at their geography, their competitors, their target market, and then we look at their budget and really determine what we can do for them. Sometimes it's a step-up approach. We start with something on a local level, then we work to more of a regional and national level as they get successful.
So many small business and lower middle market companies have more need than they have budget, right?
That's true.
So if there's a CEO out there who's thinking, man, I probably could do a better job at this, but I don't want to waste my money. Is there any general area that you would recommend that you've seen based on your years of experience that they should begin with?
Yeah, there's a very basic area,
Okay.
and that's getting listed in all the relevant local directories and maps that Google has. Google looks at what's called citations into a website, and these are these local directory and map listings. Google looks at correct address, name, phone number, being consistent with what's on the website, and that helps validate the website even more, and it helps the website rankings. And this is probably one of the least expensive programs that we offer. We include it in every program we do,
Okay.
but it's something that can stand alone by itself also.
Is it something like you could run a report and go, you know what, you're only in 6 of the 65 you should be in? I'm just
Yeah,
pulling numbers out of the
we
air
can run
kind
a
of thing.
report and we show their visibilities. So I have clients who've started with 1% visibility in these directories, and we've gotten them in 4 or 5 months up to 80%.
Okay, and so tell me, Dennis, why that matters.
It matters because, one, not that every directory is going to show up in a search. The maps do, Google Maps does, Apple Maps do, Bing Maps do, and it's important that all the information be correct.
But what if I don't have I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm trying to think like my audience.
Yeah.
But what if I'm a B2B and I don't really have a storefront that I want to drive people to? Why is that important to them?
It's important to Google.
Okay.
So even businesses that don't, I had a business I worked with that was importing Italian foods and oils, olive oil and things like that. Uh, they just had a warehouse,
Right.
and they didn't want to drive traffic to their warehouse.
Makes sense.
But you can in a lot of these directories not give an address, or we suggest getting a postal box, a UPS mailbox address, just for the purpose of these listings. And
Is Google looking and saying, okay, Paul Roberts is searching in Ladera Ranch. We want to serve him solutions that are close to him in Ladera Ranch. So regardless if you're a B2C or B2B, Google looks at that and gives you preference if you're close?
absolutely.
Is that why?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
Google-
one of their many
right.
algorithms that they're using to serve him the best search
Correct.
results.
I mean, Google looks at anywhere from 15 to 20-mile radius. Again, if you're not that competitive, it'll reach out even further.
Right, right. Okay, yeah, because it's all about how
Right.
many people they have to pick from,
Yeah, and like
which is the competitive nature of it,
yes,
right?
this
They got a long list of people.
yeah, this acupuncture college that's a client. There aren't that many acupuncture colleges around, so
Right.
they come here and they come up in local searches here,
Okay, even if they're not
even
local,
even if they're not local.
because they're not local here to Orange County.
Right, they're up in Berkeley.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that starts
Right.
that starts to make sense. So that's a great tip, and I hope that all of you who are listening now on one of our live digital platforms, or maybe as a podcast, the first thing you want to ask is your marketing department or your marketing provider, how are we doing on these local directories? right?
Correct.
And they ought to be able to give you a report that demonstrates that.
Correct.
And if that's low hanging fruit. Okay, so we got that one knocked off. We're now in
Cool.
all of them. Google loves us because we're local is local.
Yeah, they do.
Now I've heard this is way off on a tangent. It's really not as important as I'm going to ask you, but I heard it and I want you to tell me if it's true or not. Having a 1-800 number without a local number isn't the best way to go with Google. Is that true or false?
That's true.
Okay.
We like to list on all these directory listings. We like to list a local number.
Okay.
'Cause that's again local. And I have businesses that are regional or national, and they say, "Well, I don't care about the local. We work all over." Well, Google does care that you have a local presence. It helps your website rankings
Right. Okay.
overall.
So it's what Google prefers.
That's right.
Okay. These all right,
That's right.
and they're the 800-pound gorilla,
Yeah,
right?
and you can. Yeah, don't get me started on Google.
Okay, I won't. They're your friend. Google's your
Yeah,
friend.
I
We
lo-
love them.
I
Hi.
love you,
Yeah,
Google.
you
You're
might
right
be
down the
listening right
street here,
now.
right?
Yeah, you're
Right.
awesome. We like everything about
Right.
you. So I wanted to ask you. We have about 4 minutes left here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. Why is it important to make sure your firm doesn't lose traffic then to competitors?
An outside business,
Yeah.
not my firm, but someone.
Uh-huh.
A business firm. Well, of course, you don't want to lose business to competitors. And it's important. A lot of businesses really don't, they know who their competitors are, but they really don't understand what they're doing marketing wise. I can imagine a lot of businesses haven't even looked at their competitors' website to see what they're doing, or look to see if they're advertising, look to see if their social media presence. So we do a lot of competitive research because we want to do better than the competitors are doing, and that's sort of the game we have to play with Google.
So we're talking with Dennis Backer. He is one of the partners in Can Do Digital Solutions. Is it your expertise and experience that when you work with a client and you look at the competitive landscape, that there's value in doing what the competitors are doing, or is there value in doing something different than what your competitors are doing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you mentioned low-hanging fruit before.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we look for that low-hanging fruit that the competitors have missed because there are keywords, they're what we call long-tail keywords, they're more terms or phrases that the competitor may not be optimizing for. And so we can get a lot of good results by doing that very quickly. So
Okay,
that's why we
but-
study them.
But if you looked at my competitors and 3 of the 4 of them had a set of keywords that they were prominently using, that would tell me that I should probably leverage their research to some degree and say, well, those are probably words we should be using too then, right?
Sure. We
Okay.
want to use them, and we want to put them in content and blogs and articles.
And then you can tell me later on how much traffic came based on those keywords so we could figure out which ones are really valuable and which ones are not.
Correct.
That's true. So you
Correct.
can fine-tune this over time and drive more traffic to the words that are, most
right.
valuable.
Right.
Now-
We do an analysis every month.
Every
So-
month.
So we look and see what's performing well and what we need to write content for that next month to draw more traffic to
Yeah,
the site.
see that and unfortunately we're out of time, but that is the area that really I would like to have bridged to, which is once you've raised people's attention to you, now you have to figure out how to engage them. And
Correct.
that is the content that
Correct.
you're talking about, and the website layout, and probably all the rest of the tricks and things that you've learned over time that are somewhat Google dependent, but they're almost more user dependent, I would think, at that point, right? Because Google's done its job. It's got you. It's got that person there. It's your job now to keep them.
That's right.
So maybe you'll come back in the future.
I'd love to
and
do
we
a
can
part
talk-
two.
We'll talk about part 2.
That'd be great.
All right. So if someone doesn't want to wait for that and they want to talk with you and your firm, Dennis, how do they find Can Do Digital Solutions online?
Yeah, so the website is candodigital.solutions.
Okay.
So it's CANDO digital.solutions, and you can look up Dennis Backer on LinkedIn.
Spell your name.
BACKER.
Just like it sounds, but you
Alright,
never
just
know,
like your
right?
back.
You
There
never
you
know.
go.
Just like your
I've
back.
got your back.
Well, this has been great, and it's got the time has flown by.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah,
This
but-
has been great. I'd
yeah.
love to speak with you again.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll have Joan work out a time for come back, and so, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do a 2-part series with Dennis, and next time we'll be talking about the things you need to do once you get them to your site, because the battle's never over when you're trying to get new business, right?
Very so.
All right,
Very
well,
much right.
Thanks for your
Thank-
time. Thanks for being a friend of the program. Welcome to the Critical Mass community.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Oh, my pleasure. I'd like to also thank our engineer for today's show, the none other than Paul Roberts, who also happens to own this radio station. And our producers are Crystal Nunley, Joan Park, and Haley Stern. If you'd like to connect with me on Twitter, it is my handle, CEO Peer Groups, CEO Peer Groups. On LinkedIn and YouTube, you can find me as Richard Franzi, Franzi. My website is simple, criticalmass4, spelled out F-O-R, 4, business.com, criticalmassforbusiness.com. Until our next show, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.
You have been listening to Critical Mass Radio